Yes, guys, what's happening? And welcome back to the channel. And I tell you what, there's never a quiet day being a Chelsea fan. This was originally scheduled to be a preview for Sunday's game at Everton, but with the breaking news we've had today in regards to the ownership situation, which suddenly exploded into life early this afternoon, I thought I'd just do a quick stream, giving my thoughts on the situation and an update on what is currently going on and what the current situation is. But it looks like we are taking a step closer to finding out who the new Chelsea owner will be. It is expected to be Todd Boehly. His consortium, obviously backed up by Swiss billionaire Hans-Jörg Weiss. They are the preferred bidder. It doesn't mean it's official. It's not been officially announced, but they are the preferred bidder, which will be taken forward to the government. But before we get into all that and thoughts on Todd Boehly and you know, things that he needs to do, etc., I mean, what's a day it's been today? What a day. I mean, the ownership saga has been rumbling on for a while now. It feels like it's been dragged out. You know, as Chelsea fans, we just wanted this to be concluded as quickly as possible. Obviously, I fully understand that, you know, when you're dealing with the amounts of money being banded about, you know, in and around the £3 billion mark, then these things aren't quick fixes. You know, you need a lot of assurances. You need to prove a lot of things and stuff, and rightly so. But it's been frustrating as a fan to see how long it's been dragging on for. But it was very much the case that you know, it was to be the preferred bidder would be ideally announced by the end of the week, and then being the end of this month, and then, you know, everything would be able to go through and they'd fully be in place by May for obviously then to be in charge for the summer transfer window, which is the most important thing. But literally, and it was, you know, we had three bidders, obviously, Todd Boehly's consortium, Sir Martin Broughton's consortium, made up of Harris and Blitzer, the guys with majority shares in Crystal Palace, obviously backing from Lewis Hamilton and Serena Williams, obviously not a lot of backing in the grand scheme of things. And obviously the third one was Stephen Pagliuca's bid, the majority shareholder in Atalanta in Serie A, and obviously the owner of the Boston Celtics in the NBA. Those were the three. It was expected to be closed down to two. Pagliuca was expected to drop out, and he was announced that he wasn't going to be the successful bidder. So it was kind of down to two, Sir Martin Broughton and obviously Todd Boehly. But then out of nowhere, Sir Jim Ratcliffe just tables a £4.25 billion bid. The owner of Nice, Britain's richest man, with the backing of the Ineos Group, who obviously they own Nice, Team Sky Cycling, and obviously they've invested heavily in the Mercedes F1 team. You see the Ineos logo on the car there. And that bid kind of came out of nowhere. He was in the run. He bid for Chelsea before. There's a slightly weird situation. I'm a Man United fan, but a Chelsea season ticket holder. Not really quite sure how those two equate. But yeah, kind of literally out of nowhere, last minute. I mean, 2 weeks supposedly after the deadline. But Jim Ratcliffe puts a $4.25 billion bid in. I'm just going to bring up the state and then they released a statement, which I'm just going to bring up now and obviously go through. I think this is the one here. Oh, I can't find it now. No, not that one. No, that's the one. So, yeah, basically, statement from Ineos on the acquisition of Chelsea FC. So this came through early this afternoon. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe, chairman of Ineos, has made a formal bid for Chelsea FC for £4.25 billion. £2.5 billion is committed to the charitable trust to support victims of the war, with £1.75 billion committed to investment directly into the club over the next 10 years. And it goes on to say, this is a British bid for a British club. We believe that a club is bigger than its owners, who are temporarily custodians of a great tradition with responsibility to the fans and the community. That is why we are committing to spending £1.75 billion over 10 years. That will be for the direct benefit of the club. We will invest in Stamford Bridge to make it a world-class stadium befitting of Chelsea FC. This will be organic and ongoing so that we will not move away from the home of Chelsea and risk losing the support of loyal fans. We will continue to invest in the team to ensure we have a first-class squad of the world's greatest players, coaches and support staff in the men's and women's games. And we hope to continue to invest in the academy to provide opportunity for talented youngsters to develop into first-class players. It concludes by saying, we believe that London should have a club that reflects the stature of the city, one that is held in the same regard as Real Madrid, Barcelona or Bayern Munich. We intend Chelsea to be that club. We are making this investment as fans of the beautiful game, not as a means to turn a profit. We do that with our core businesses. The club is rooted in its community and its fans, and it is our intention to invest in Chelsea FC for that reason. No further comment will be made from Sir Jim or Ineos during the bidding process. And that concludes the statement. So it all sounds very good on paper. You know exactly what you want to hear as a fan. But what I don't understand, and doesn't really seem to make much sense to me, is that why has this bid come in so last minute? You know, it's 2 weeks after the deadline. You know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe had been interested in Chelsea before, as I'd said, and around the start of the bidding process, he had declared himself out. So I'm not quite sure where this has suddenly just come from and how the bid's kind of been allowed to pass through by rain, etc. Timing seems odd. I mean, obviously, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's obviously an intelligent man. You know, I find it strange that he would put in a bid this last minute without kind of having not reassurances, you know, or, you know, encouragement from Rain/Chelsea that, you know, his bid could potentially be successful. Obviously, I think it's the one that's essentially worth the most money. Again, that doesn't really mean too much in terms of, you know, it doesn't matter what wealth you've got. If you're not prepared to invest into the club, then your net worth is essentially irrelevant. But yeah, for me, it doesn't make too much sense as to why this bid would be put through so late if they hadn't received kind of, as I said, assurances from Rain and Chelsea that, you know, there's a chance that, you know, he could advance to latter stages and potentially even get the club. So I'm not really sure what the point of that bid going in was. Was it to cause, you know, issues for the other consortiums, or to make them act? I really don't know. It really doesn't add up or make sense to me. It really doesn't. Obviously, Simon Phillips putting out, this was obviously a couple of hours ago now, about 6:15. The Boehly-led consortium, this is from Nizar Kinsella, great journalist at Goal covering all things Chelsea. The Boehly-led ownership consortium now preferred Chelsea bidder, but Jim Ratcliffe has not been ruled out. So according to Nizar Kinsella, Jim Ratcliffe has still not been ruled out, even though Boehly's been named as the preferred bidder. Now, I mean, I can't really make much sense of this. Like, I've been scratching my head all afternoon. I don't really understand the timing of the Jim Ratcliffe bid. Like, if he was interested in the club, you know, you don't suddenly just table a 4.25 billion bid without, you know, having done some background work and some, you know, some work towards it in the build-up. This bid he must have been doing this bid, you know, he must have at least a week or so, maybe even more, you know, getting it all together. And the fact that it was reported that he said he's got the money and he could have it like available this weekend to buy the club if that was required. So obviously the money's not an issue. But yeah, I'm just confused by the timing and what he's doing it for, because, you know, billionaires don't like to be made to look stupid. And the fact that he's put in a last minute bid, is that fair? Is that fair for the process? Would he have been going through the same, you know, criteria and scrutiny of checks that the other consortiums have had to go through? Like, it doesn't really add up for me at all. I'm not quite sure, you know, where it sits and what happens with this bid from here, because it literally come out of nowhere. You know, I mean, there was always kind of maintained that, you know, there was a mystery bidder, etc. But that identity was never disclosed. I mean, we initially thought that Pagliuca could have been the mystery bidder, because when he threw his name into the ring, no one had heard anything from him at all. There were no rumors that it was going to be there. Yeah, I mean, as you said, he came out of nowhere. I don't know if any of you lot watch wrestling, but he come out of nowhere like a Randy Orton RKO. It was literally just appeared. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I don't know, like it was mad. Like it's been a mad day in the race for the ownership. But in regards to Sir Jim, I mean, I don't know. I like Nice I mean, it could be potentially problematic as well, though, because Nice currently third in Ligue 1 in France. If they obviously qualify for the Champions League, obviously Chelsea qualify for the Champions League, then under a UEFA rule, you can't own two clubs in the same competition. So that would be potentially problematic for Sir Jim Ratcliffe as well. I don't know what would be done about that. Would he have to sell Nice? I'm really not sure. But yeah, that bid came out of nowhere. And the fact that, according to Nizar Kinsella, you know, despite the fact that Todd Boehly's been named the preferred bidder, it's not necessarily, you know, it's not concrete yet. And obviously he's saying that, you know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has not been officially ruled out. So I'm really not sure where I sit on this. Obviously, Sir Martin Broughton's bid was out due to partial loan funding. But yeah, I'm not really sure what to think about all this. It's suddenly, you know, it's taken it's taken a big jump very quickly. This we were expecting news by the end of the week with the preferred bidder being named, but the fact that this Jim Ratcliffe bit's come out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden Todd Boehly's been named as a preferred bidder. But I mean, enough on Sir Jim. I mean, he's put the bid in. He's wanted Chelsea before, but if he really wanted it, why did he not put the bid in at the start of the process or before the initial deadline for the final four? That's what doesn't make sense to me. And it also doesn't make sense to me that he would put this bid in without, like, last minute, 2 weeks late from the deadline, of course, that without thinking that there was a genuine chance for it to happen. Otherwise, if there wasn't, there'd be no point putting it in. Is he putting it in for PR? I don't think he needs PR. I'm really not sure. So yeah, I mean, maybe hopefully we'll get some more news on that Sir Jim Ratcliffe bid and what's going to happen to it over the next couple of days. But yeah, very, very odd, that one. A bit of a head scratch. I can't really get my head around it at all. I mean, obviously, guys, if you're watching in the chat, let me know your thoughts on it. But yeah, I can't really work out the timing, the intentions behind it, why it wasn't done earlier. But on the flip side, if it goes in this late, why would you put it in this late without, being given genuine assurances or encouragement, that your bid could be successful? It doesn't really make sense to me. Hopefully, there'll be some more stuff coming out in the next couple of days. And obviously, if it turns out to be unsuccessful, then hopefully we can hear from Sir Jim Ratcliffe himself, whether it's for a statement or whatever it is, as to why he put that bid in and what his intentions were. Because I'm confused. It just doesn't add up for me. But obviously, a very, very big day in the Chelsea ownership race. And from a fan perspective, thank God things seem to be moving along. I know there's still a bit of a way to go, but The Athletic and obviously Matt Law at the Telegraph and reputable sources, and it's been confirmed by Sky Sports and the various others, that I'll just bring it up on the screen now for those of you who might have joined late. Todd Boehly, the consortium of Hans-Jörg Weiss, the Swiss billionaire. It is, as The Athletic have confirmed here, consortium led by the LA Dodgers co-owner Todd Boehly has been chosen as the preferred bidder for Premier League club Chelsea. And that's despite a late bid from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So obviously Todd Boehly's kind of been, really, he's been the favourite from the off, pretty much. The fans' choice, really. Obviously, at one point it appeared to be between Boehly and Ricketts. Obviously, the Ricketts dropped out. Then it was very much billed as Boehly against Sir Martin Broughton. And now Boehly seems to be the standout candidate. He has been. He's the one that the fans have wanted. His data-driven approach, the fact that he cares about the fans, they invest in the squad, etc., all that sort of stuff. It's great. But, part of me still thinks that, well, surely, Roman would have had an idea that this bid was coming in from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And the fact that Jim Ratcliffe on Thursday met with Bruce Buck, the Chelsea chairman, I mean, I don't know what's going on. This process has been so weird for me, and it's been so drawn out, and just like the quicker it concludes, the better. But Todd Boehly has been named as the preferred bidder, but that doesn't mean that he will be the new owner. This is the one that will be taken forward to the government. And then I just want to quickly bring up something else that Pice tweeted out. Who was it? Oh no, there we go. It's been reported in a Daily Mail Sport. I'll just bring it up now. That obviously now that Todd Boehly has been named the preferred bidder, this is the one. Yeah, the Boehly-led ownership consortium now preferred bidder. Oh, that's not the one. Apologies there. That is the wrong one. It'll be this next one here. So basically, I'll just bring it up on the screen now instead of reading it out. Where are we? That's the one. So, according to the Daily Mail, sources close to the process have indicated that the Boehly Group will now have a period of time, in quotation marks, understood to be between 5 and 7 days to ratify an exclusivity agreement to indicate their full intentions to press ahead with a takeover. So they basically got a week to, I guess, set out their intentions. Do they fully want to go through with it, etc.? Iron out all the paperwork, etc., things like that. And I would imagine that should be fairly straightforward. They obviously want the club. It's not that they've got the funds. They've obviously spoken to the fan groups, to the chairman, maybe they've had contact with Roman. I don't know if Boehly's obviously been to a few games. I'm not sure what else there's left to do. But obviously, I guess the exclusivity agreement may be referring to, guarantees that they're not going to sell for at least 10 years minimum. and all those sorts of things. So it would appear to be fairly straightforward now, and that in the next week or so, that should go through. And then, by the end of next month, Boehly's takeover should be fully complete. But just with the way this process has gone, part of me just feels that this isn't the end of this. Something else might, come out the woodwork. There's just something about that Sir Jim Ratcliffe bid that, it doesn't quite sit right with me that that's fully done, that we've heard the last of that there's no chance whatsoever that Sir Jim Ratcliffe gets the club. I mean, is there a chance that perhaps Roman wants Sir Jim Ratcliffe to own the club? I mean, I don't know. I'm just putting theories out there. I mean, is it possible that Roman's allowed this bid to come through because he actually wants to sell to Sir Jim? I don't know. Or, I mean, Jim Ratcliffe obviously pulled out earlier. Has he then had perhaps assurances from somewhere that, if you quickly put a bid in, I want to sell to you. You're the right candidate for this, and we'll fast track it through. I really don't know, but when you're bidding at this late hour, you haven't gone through the same processes and stages of the buying process that the other consortiums have gone through. Have they been fast tracked? I mean, I don't know what's going on, but what we do know is that Todd Boehly has been named as the preferred bidder. So whatever that means, obviously exclusivity agreement now. You've got 5 to 7 days. So I don't think we'll hear. There'll probably be a bit more to hear on the Boehly side of things, but obviously until I reckon next week will be when we sort of hear that Boehly's fully confirmed. But obviously it's got to be confirmed by the government. I guess Roman's got to give it the final sign off as well. But I mean, let me know if you agree in the chat. I just feel that there's something about this Jim Ratcliffe bid that could come back and surprise us. I'm really not sure that that's dead and buried in the water, despite the news that obviously Boehly's been named as the preferred bidder for the club. RD saying, I just want this season to end, start fresh. Yeah, I feel what you're saying, mate. It's been a strange season for Chelsea. If only Amazon All or Nothing was following Chelsea. I mean, what a documentary they'd have there on their hands of everything that's been going on and off the pitch. I mean, in terms of the season, we've just got the FA Cup left to play for. Now we need 6 points from our last few games to secure the top four. We're not going to drop out of the top four. That's for sure. It's really just the FA Cup final to play for now. Blue Lounge, I think it's dead and buried, mate. Yeah, I feel what you're saying, and big up for tuning in. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm sure it is. Maybe I'm overthinking it, or just trying to provide some different views. But the fact that it's come in so late, surely if you he's a smart man. If you're bidding that late, 2 weeks after the deadline, you must have had some assurances or some encouragement that your bid is not just going to be knocked back, because otherwise, why would you do it? Is he doing it for his own profile? I would have thought not, because it'd be quite embarrassing to put your own bid in and then with knowing full well that it's going to be rejected. Why would you do that? I mean, I don't think he needs to raise his profile. I don't think he needs to increase. He certainly doesn't need to increase his wealth. So whilst I agree that it's very much looking like it will definitely be Todd Boehly, part of me I just would really like to know the intentions behind the Sir Jim Ratcliffe bid and whether it's going to go any further or not, because it seems that it's very strange timing for me. But yeah, I do agree with the Blue Lounge that it's probably dead and buried. But in terms of Todd Boehly himself, then obviously guys in the chat are watching, are you happy about this? I guess, it was the overwhelming fans' choice. So Martin Broughton's bid was complicated with the fact that Blitzer and Harris, two of the main backers with majority shares in Crystal Palace, you can't get rid of those quickly. So yeah, it's interesting, but it's been such a mad day in terms of how quick these developments have been. But yeah, the exclusivity period now 5 to 7 days for Todd Boehly. And yeah, I think it's going to be great. In terms of, let me just quickly, I'm going to try and bring something else up now. That's obviously what's been happening. I'll just have a quick look now on Twitter, see if there's any more news. But I think the main thing, obviously, this is reported by Matt Law in the Telegraph. Obviously, we're moving slightly away from the ownership side of things, and I obviously will big up Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I get this quite often. I'm not seeing it myself, but I've had it on other streams I go on as well. That a lot of people think I look like Thomas Tuchel. I'm not so sure about that one, but yeah, let me know in the chat if you think I do look like him. I'm pretty certain I don't, but I mean, to be fair, I love the guy, so I'm not too bothered if people think I look like him. But yeah, I'm not so sure on that one. But in terms of Todd Boehly, obviously we're going to presume that he probably is going to be the new owner, barring any like last minute, catastrophes or stuff just appearing out of nowhere, which the way this process has gone, I wouldn't 100% rule it out. But I'm just going to bring up this tweet now. Matt Law in a Telegraph. Let's quickly find it now. Chelsea's new owners will now prioritise talks with Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel has made it clear he wants to stay, but he wants to work with owners who want to win. Tuchel wants assurances over the summer plan and the size of the budget. So now that we're pretty certain that it's going to be Todd Boehly. RD, your boy Pulisic. I don't think he'll be sold because I think one of the big things that the new owners want to do is tap into the American market. And Pulisic is obviously American football or soccer poster boy. I've saw Americans I'm not sure it's all Americans, but he's referred to as the LeBron James of soccer. There's obviously a lot of marketability out there. And so I think he'll be a key thing. Obviously, going on a preseason tour of the US. So, I'd be shocked if Pulisic did leave now with potential American, with obviously new owners coming in, the American market to be tapped into, raising Chelsea's profile across the pond. But the main thing, let me just unselect that. The main thing is Blue Lounge, big up. Really appreciate that, mate. Thanks a lot. Your channel's smashing it. I do tune in regularly. So, mate, I hope maybe we should do a bit of some collabs in the future. It'd be great to get you on or join you on yours. I'd be a big, really appreciative of that. So let's try and get something sorted out. That'd be great to do that in the future. Just let me know. In terms of Thomas Tuchel, obviously, he's going to want assurances over the summer budget. Guys in the chat, let me know your thoughts as well. I mean, Todd Boehly, he said all the right things, in terms of wanting to invest in the invest in the playing squad, invest in the stadium. He wants the best players. That's all very well saying that, but it's all great on paper. But the stuff you say, actions speak louder than words. So it still remains to be seen. Yet Boehly overwhelming choice, the standout candidate. But having said that, until you're actually in and you're running the club and you act upon your words, we don't really know what he's going to be like. We don't know what he's going to do. So I think it's really important, that this window, particularly of all windows, for me, if you're coming in as a new owner, if in any window you're going to spend a lot of money, surely you want to do that in the first window that you're owning the club, in terms of, making a statement. I'm not sure how much money we're going to have to spend, reading reports that potentially, we're going to have to operate a one in, one out policy. Maybe I'm not too sure what's going on, but what is essential is that Thomas Tuchel is backed. He's made it clear that he wants to stay, but he wants to work with owners, he wants to win. I think Todd Boehly, that's a big tick there. LA Dodgers, very well run. They're a successful baseball team. I think that's a big tick there. He obviously wants assurances over the summer plans and the size of the budget. That's going to be the big thing. They need the Todd Boehly's consortium, or whoever's providing the money, is going to need to provide a sizable transfer budget. Yes, we can raise funds by selling a lot of dead wood, potentially selling academy products. As much as fans agree or disagree with it, it's quick cash. It is, and that's the way it goes. I wonder what happens to Marina. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one as well. I mean, I imagine she might stay around short term, but I believe that Boehly's consortium was one of the consortiums that was for a director of football wanting Paul Mitchell from Monaco. I mean, I've seen reports over the last couple of days that potentially Man United are looking at trying to get him. So, I mean, it would be a shame to miss out on Paul Mitchell to Man United. I mean, Tuchel likes the structure he's got at the moment with Marina and Petr Cech. Cech kind of, although he's not officially a director of football, that's kind of very much the role that he sort of performs. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens to Marina. I'm sure she'll stick around short term. Whether she stays around long term into next season, it remains to be seen. I'm not sure what's going to happen on that one. But I mean, the size of the budget is crucial. You know, I won't go into it too much. I'll make a separate stream for it, but the squad needs major investment in the summer, particularly that back line. You know, it's not going to be cheap to sign 2 centre halves, potentially a backup wing back as well on the right-hand side. And we need a holding midfield player as well, and potentially making some changes at the top end of the pitch as well. This potentially can't all be done in one window, but the main priority is the back line. So Boehly has got to provide assurances to Tuchel that there's going to be money to invest in the squad and get the defenders of the required quality that he needs to rebuild the back line and help us close the gap to, obviously, Liverpool and Manchester City, which is ultimately what we need to do desperately. So whilst Tuchel's, you know, he said he's happy to stay, he wants to stay, that could very quickly change if he doesn't get the backing and the budget is not available that he feels that he requires, and the players that he wants aren't bought in. You know, so whilst I'm 99% sure that Thomas Tuchel will stay, it does very much rest on, you know, what assurances Boehly can give over budget and how many players we can bring in. You know, obviously we need to get rid of a lot of players. So yeah, we need to watch this space on that one, because we need to keep Thomas Tuchel. He's a world-class manager. You know, he's someone that could be here for years to come, break the mold of Chelsea's hiring and firing, you know, and making sure that he actually stays here for over 3 years, because we so far, I don't think no manager stayed more than 3 seasons. That has to change. We're going to close the gap. You know, look at Pep, look at Klopp. That's got to change. You know, longevity is the key now, I think, to actually challenging for the Premier League. You know, yes, the hiring and firing, I wouldn't change it, because it's been so successful under Roman. It's brought us some of the best days of our lives and the club's history. But the reality is that I don't think nowadays you can get away. You can get away with that in cup competitions, but I think over a 38-game consistency of a league season, you can't get away with it. You really can't. You know, you end up swapping managers. You just get a pick and mix of different managers' players, different managers' squads. You need time to implement your own ideas, and with Tuchel, we can 100% do that. RD, Koundé and Pau Torres. Yeah, those would be my two favourites. But you know what Chelsea are like in the market? Either we're like scouting or monitoring FC. Amount of players we monitor and scout, and then nothing happens is just ridiculous. But Pau Torres has got, obviously, I think, a €55 million release clause. Both Manchester clubs seem to be interested, so we need to act fast. But what I think might potentially work in our favour, if we do definitely want him, is the fact we'll be able to offer him a lot more first-team football than, say, a Manchester City would, for example. So that could be a plus. But yeah, Koundé and Pau Torres would definitely be my 2 options at centre-back. But again, there's a long way to go between now and the window, and that's why it's so important this gets sorted out by the end of May, so that the new owners are in place and we can start looking at targets. Because right now, who's signed the players that we're linked with? We're going to be linked with every player under the sun. So yeah, it's exciting times ahead. It's very much going to be a new era. But yeah, I mean, Chelsea, the new owner looks like it's taking a step closer. For those of you that are late joining in, Todd Boehly has been named the preferred bidder for the club. He's now got an exclusivity period of 5 to 7 days to kind of, you know, reaffirm his intentions to own the club and all that. You know, there'll be between 5 and 7 days to ratify an exclusivity agreement, as I said earlier, to indicate their full intentions to press ahead with the takeover, just to make sure they're not having any last minute, you know, change of heart. You know, all the funds are there. Nothing from their bid that they've been saying is going to change or anything like that. So it very much appears to be, obviously, the Jim Ratcliffe bid, despite guys in the chat thinking it's dead in the water. Part of me still thinks that, you know, it doesn't make sense. It's confusing, but we seem to have finally made big strides in this ownership saga. And, you know, we've got our preferred bidder finally, which hopefully towards the end of next week, that'll go to the government and we can speed this process on. And by the end of May, we need to have Todd Boehly, or whoever it's most likely going to be Todd Boehly, in place to then, you know, get everything sorted out, get the summer business sorted, back Tuchel. But I mean, yeah, just a quick stream for me. I think we'll probably round it out there. But yeah, I mean, what's a mad day? It's never a normal day in the life of a Chelsea fan. You know, last minute 4 billion bid from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Britain's richest man. 2 consortiums in Sir Martin Broughton and Stephen Pagliuca dropping out. Todd Boehly being named the preferred bidder. I mean, what a day it's been. Was, as I said at the top of the video, it was meant to be an Everton match preview this evening, but I've pushed that back to tomorrow afternoon now because I felt this news was far too important not to do a stream on it and you know, strike whilst the iron is hot. But I think that seems like a good point to round out, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in the chat. Please do smash a like on this video. Please click that subscribe button. I've set myself an ambitious target of hitting 500 subscribers by the end of the season. So please do help me get there. Click that subscribe button, smash a like on this video, spread the word. And Todd Boehly is the preferred bidder for Chelsea. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Have a great weekend. Hopefully the Blues can record a win at Goodison Park. I will be back with a match preview for that tomorrow afternoon. So hopefully see a few of you there. Until then, keep the faith, up the Chelsea, and catch you soon.